Good evening and welcome to the Fire Sprinkler CAD Basics Bootcamp. This is week 3, an overview of the mCAD Redline process. I'm your host, Colby Statwick, and this week I will be presenting an overview of our redlining process in a pre-recorded video that we've prepared, as well as a video on some new productivity tools that we've been playing with. And so let's go ahead and get into our presentation. Let me close this window. All right, so again, welcome to our presentation. Tonight, again, our topic, the Redline review process. Behind the scenes tonight, we've got my beautiful wife, Monica, my friend Chris Carrasco, and my friend across the seas, Martin Carl, all assisting. So if you need some help, go ahead and ask them in the chat and they will help guide you. And just to make sure everybody's on the right page, we are at the Fire Sprinkler CAD Basics Bootcamp. And we are on week 3. We started the layout checklist last week. And this week we are learning about the Redline review process. Now, if at any point you feel like you are taking in so much information that it feels like you can relate to this picture, like you're taking in information, drinking water through a fire hose, well, we want you to take advantage of all of the opportunities that we have created to help you be successful. And we're going to talk about a few of those, but right now specifically, have you successfully laid out your drawing and printed your project to PDF? That's hopefully where everyone should be this week. So if you're not, again, take advantage of some of these things that we are going to show you that we have available. Real quick, I want to mention that, again, we are going to have another live workshop this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific with Chris Jansen. And we are going to be continuing talking about SketchUp for basic carpentry. And this week, specifically, we're going to be getting into groups and components. And this may be of interest to you. Just SketchUp is super easy platform to learn to model in 3D. It's very intuitive, and these basic concepts really can help you to do a lot. And this is how we create our riser details and things like that in 3D for our clients, for our fire sprinkler projects. So this is where I want to show you the places to get help. Okay, the first one, if you go to the library, this is also, if I back up real quick, this live workshop, I need to emphasize this. Right now, if you're here viewing this, we are on Zoom. This particular event on Saturday is in the mCAD community, in the Kajabi community section. If you're on a computer, no big deal. You just log in. We're at the same place where you log in to your app to get to your course. But if you're on a phone or mobile device, Kajabi does have 2 different apps, one for viewing the course and one for accessing the community. So if you want to view these videos in the community on a mobile device, you'll need to download the Kajabi mobile community app as well, besides just the Kajabi course app. All right, but on a computer, you go to library and scroll all the way down, and here's where you click on to go to the community. And then also, in addition to that, if you go to the library and scroll down to the boot camp, and when you go into the boot camp, you can, I guess, I thought this slide was about something else. This is just so everybody knows, you click on library when you're in the course. At any point, if you see the library button, you can click on that, and that will take you to this page. And when you scroll down, you'll see one that says this Fire Sprinkler CAD Basics Bootcamp, and this is where all of your courses shown on this page are at, where you can download your files. And let's see, this is also, you made it here. If you're here live, we have a live Q&A afterwards, so you can ask questions to help you move forward. If you're stuck at all, please find one of these ways to get help from one of us. Another thing, okay, this is the one that I thought we were on earlier. If you go into the storefront and you scroll down, you can go to the area where we have consulting. Normally, there is a fee associated with this, but during the 8-week boot camp, whenever we are live with this, we open up this calendar with me for free for selected hours that are in there. And you can go in there and make an appointment with me, and I can walk you through any steps that you are getting stuck on. And again, this is just a reminder, everyone, get comfortable. If you're not used to working at a computer for long hours, it really can cause problems quickly if you're not set up to be comfortable. The biggest thing, it's very challenging to do this work without a scroll wheel mouse, so I highly, highly recommend that. Okay, so last week we spoke about the layout checklist. When we are working through a project with a technician, they go through this layout checklist, they submit what they have. We go through a redline process, which is what we're going to be demonstrating in the video tonight. We work back and forth until they're ready to move into the pre-calc checklist, which is what we'll be beginning to go over next week. And the pre-calc checklist is really where the bulk of the drafting work happens, where the design of the system really takes place. And we'll be actually spending 2 weeks on that checklist because that's the most drafting work. So we want to make sure that everybody has plenty of time to be successful, to be able to get through that. And you'll notice, again, we have red lines between that checklist, post-calc checklist, and then red lines again. It's just how we work through the process, and somebody who's more advanced won't need as many red lines. Somebody who's just starting will need a little more assistance. It's not a problem. So last week we were looking at the layout checklist. This is what we went through. And we also spoke about the job order report. And with these 2 items, we were able to produce this document. So if you are not at this point this week, make sure you contact myself or Monica, one of these, or contact people in the community, find help somewhere. We want you to be successful to get to this point, get caught up with where we are in the course. Now, I have this little example of file organization. You'll see here, as I was working through this project, I had a couple iterations on the 17th, and then I had 3 iterations on the 21st. The way we do this, each new day, the day that we are working on a file, if we print it to PDF, we put that date at the beginning, and at the end we do prelim starting with A, and we work through the alphabet, however many we do that day. So we keep a record of everything, how we're working through the project. So the 17th, I had 2 iterations, an A and a B. 21st, I had 3 iterations, A, B, and C. This is how, if you're working with this, your file should look as you're working through. So we don't delete anything that's old. We just keep adding to, so we can, if something gets lost in translation, we can kind of go back through the drawings and see what happened. So this is our first video on the Redline process. This is going to be about a half an hour. That's why I kind of tried to move through this quickly, so we can have plenty of time to enjoy this video. And we'll come back with a few more slides after that and go into another video. So we are video heavy tonight and slide light. So I will see you on the other side of this one. All right, so we are talking about Redlines. And this is basically the process that we use internally for sending back and forth information between a technician and a manager. The more experienced the technician, the less back and forth redlining there is. The less experienced he is, the more redlining there is. It's just part of the process of, we have this framework that has a lot of the learning built into it. But this process is what picks up the rest, the transfer of knowledge between a manager and a technician. And this could also be, if you are like a contractor that's taking this course, you may have someone that you have in mind to help you with the CAD stuff. And, maybe you're going to do this process with them, where I'm going to be showing you how we do this. First we're going to go into some hand redlining. I'm also going to show you on the computer how I would do it. And these are the tools that you could use, you know, if you hire a drafter who maybe knows how to use the computer a little bit more proficiently than you do, but they don't know anything about sprinklers, and this is how you can transfer that knowledge to them. So, like I said, we're going to start out on the table over here, doing some hand drafting Redlines first, then we'll go to the computer. Couple of things I wanted to mention, that is, while on the computer is kind of neater and easier to read, it does save paper, those types of things. And, you know, if I'm working remotely, you know, I can do that from anywhere. I don't need to have my printer with me, my plotter. You know, it's a little bit large to carry around with you if you want to travel. But that being said, ultimately, it's faster to print the drawing and redline with the Sharpie, take pictures at that point, and then some of our technicians prefer Discord, some prefer WhatsApp, but it's really easy to just take some pictures of the red lines and then send it to them. They can zoom in and out on the pictures on their computer. Anyway, one other thing I wanted to mention is that this process, we're going to be showing the paper and the computer version, but one thing, I never send a job out without printing to paper and redlining, reviewing at least one time, because there's just certain things that come across differently when you're looking at the paper, when you're looking at a computer screen. It's just easier to spot mistakes, errors when you have the full-size sheet printed out. All right, so guys, let's go over to the plan table and check it out. All right, so here we have, this should look familiar to you guys based on what we went over last week. This is where your plans should be at roughly at this point in time. This is week 3 of the course. And I, as a manager, am going to be using the layout checklist, the same one you are using to create this, to check over your work. And along with that, I have the fire sprinkler, the job order report, and I have a red and a blue Sharpie. And the idea here, the intent with this is that things that I mark in red will be direct corrections that you need to make, and things that I mark in blue are just like explaining things. And sometimes I mess that up, you know, I don't always do it perfectly, but that's the intent. In general, if it's in red, that means you need to actually put that on the plan, and if it's in blue, it's just helping you understand what you need to do. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write my job name on here. So from our job order report, we've got the sample ranch home. Oops. Kind of looks like that's what that says. We'll see. Okay, so now, oops. Sorry, I bumped the camera there. Select appropriate title block. Now, template. Now that's already been done. We provided you with the appropriate title block template. This layout checklist is for all of our sprinkler jobs. And we have 3 fire sprinkler templates. One is for 13D jobs, which the job we are doing in this course is a 13D job, and that's the template you were provided. We also have a separate template for 13R jobs and for 13 jobs. And so, you know, that is the scenario where you would have to choose the appropriate one. But for this course, it's already been chosen for you. And so we have the appropriate title block template. Hopefully you were able to download that, open it up in your CAD program, and save it as the name of your job, which would be Sample Ranch Home and FP1. So I'm going to assume that you did that, because we're at this point where we have a piece of paper. Now, insert appropriate ceiling plans Use floor plan if ceiling plan is not available, and at least one cross section. So I see that we have the floor plan and a section, so that looks good. And add titles to views with scale. Okay, so that's talking about this is the floor plan view, and this is the title to that view, and it has the scale 1/4 inch. Also has this is a graphic representation of the scale. Over here we have the title for this view. This is section A, and it's at 1/4 inch scale. So number 4 is complete. Call out section location. So we have that right here. I kind of said that sentence wrong, I realize now. Call out the section location. So this is the call out, and this is the correct location for where the section is at. So everything about that is correct. Okay, now number 6 is verify update title block information. And this actually is basically involving, let's see, everything to here. So I'm just gonna like make a little bracket around there. So this top item is kind of like make sure all of these items down to 13 are there. So I'm going to check the next one is one of the things in here. So the job number is down here. Now, it might be hard for you to see on this. I don't know if I can bring it closer. But it is right here, okay? Job number is on here, has not been altered. It says CN, which is, this is the default in the template. CN stands for contractor number, or no, I'm sorry, contractor name. So we have the first 2 initials representing the name of the contractor. Next thing is YR for year, so it's the year, and then the number. And so on our job order report, it should have been filled out. You'll notice right here, job number, we have YT22-001. What that represents is this is the first, this sample ranch home is the first house that I drew for my YouTube channel in 2022 was the number 1. So I've been using the same sample ranch home to create the course for this, or the content for this course. And so this job number is what should be going here, YT22-001. And that's not filled out, so I'm going to go ahead and circle that as a red line. Now, so that's not there. So that can't be checked off. Now the sheet number, that's right here, FP1, that's correct. We only have 1 page in the fire protection set. Drawn by. Now down here, it has the technician's initials. We do 3 initials here to differentiate because we have people who have the same first and last initials, so we have to differentiate with 3 initials here. But that, you know, may not matter where you're at. Okay, so that one drawn by, that one was good. Project name and address. So we've got this sample ranch home. That looks good. That matches our job order report. Now the address, though, it looks like it's supposed to be No Name Lane in Boring, Oregon, and they have that, but they just have not No Name Lane. So let's circle that. That's incorrect. And let's see. What else do we have on here? That was project name and address, so I'm not going to cross that off yet until that gets corrected. Next thing is date. And you know what? It looks like this is from the last time we did the iteration of this course, so the date is about 6 months old, so that really should be updated. So the scale here, now under scale it says noted here. And that's what it should say, because that's just referring that each of these views have their own. These ones say not to scale. So not everything on this page is the same scale. So we can't say that it's all one scale. We're just saying that they're noted. There's different scales that are used, so that's correct. All right, now installing contractor information. Now, on our job order report, we have the contractor. It just says client name, because the idea is what we're trying to tell you is that the contractor is, whoever the client is that we're doing the sprinkler job for, and that's who you would put here. Now, I was doing this drawing to prepare with some errors for you guys, and so I just threw in my company name in here, mCAD. If you're, a sprinkler contractor or designer on your own, you might want to put your name in here, or maybe the name of somebody you're working with. And then now there's a C16, that's a California sprinkler contractor's number. I didn't fill it out because we don't have one. We work with contractors down there, but we don't have a contractor's license. But if you are one down there, you'll fill that out. If you're in Oregon, you'll put a CCB number for the Commercial Contractors Board. Then we got, I didn't finish filling it out. Some street with no number. A city somewhere in California. Well, I'm not in California with the mCAD, so that's kind of not right. So that needs to get fixed. So basically, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items that need to be completed before we can say that the title block information has been updated, okay? So we can't check this one off until these 4 are checked off. Now, moving on, we go to abbreviation table. So that is on, whoops, we got a bug trying to ruin the show here, okay. We'll let them slow down progress. Abbreviation table is right here, so that's good. Symbol legend, we're right here. That's good. Sprinkler head information. That is going to be down here. Looks like we got the right sprinklers, which happen to match our job order report. We got send you concealed SS8464. We got SS8464 concealed. So our sprinkler head information looks good. All right, general notes. Verify correct edition of NFPA 13B. So over here in the general notes, we've got, this says 2019 edition because that's what we are here in Oregon. California's already passed that. Lots of other places are too. Some are behind, just depends on what part of the country you're in. But that's something you want to double check. So based on our area, we've got that correct. Now, the last 2 things on here, print to PDF, put in the main job folder, and this is how the formatting should be named. I know that this has been completed because I have this paper on my desk that we're looking at. Okay, so this is not complete yet. We need these little bit of things on, the title block. Oh, there's one other thing I actually missed now that I think about it. I did this on purpose just to have an error on here, but actually I shouldn't have checked one of these off. When I have right here, insert appropriate ceiling plan and one cross section, they are inserted, but I shouldn't have checked that one off yet because this cross section needs to be moved because it's overlapping right there and we can't have that. So this just needs to be moved up a little bit to clear that. So when I get the next round of corrections back from the technician, these little things that are left are exactly what I'm going to be looking for. All right, now let's we're going to head back and I'm going to be showing you similar process. How would we transfer these things, translate this to the process on the computer. All right. So right down here, if I was using this PDF reader to mark things up, I would go in here to comment, which this is, all right, so this is Foxit PDF reader, and so I'm going to go to the comment tab, and on the paper PDF with my Sharpie, I had some stuff on here that I circled, and so I'm just going to go to the oval command. This was one of the things right there that wasn't right. Now, on my keyboard, on pretty much any PDF viewer, if you hold down Control, Shift, and the plus sign, it will rotate clockwise, and if you hit the minus sign, it will rotate counterclockwise. I'm going to do that so I can circle this other things more easily. Just make a circle, move it around. That's the wrong zip, and the address is incomplete. It's no name lane, not just no. And also, these things are incorrect. It's not the correct address. Okay, now I'm going to do Control Shift minus to go back. And I'm also, to zoom in and out, if you hold down the Control button, and then you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel, just like you would on AutoCAD or IntelliCAD. Now over here, we've got a line crossing over the text, so I want to cover that too. Oops, let's see, that looks good. Oh yeah, and I said I wanted to put our home hydrant here, so let me do a rectangle, that might work better. Let's go like that, something like that, and then I'll just do call out, place, home hydrant here. I don't know why the text, let's see, where's my, there we go. Don't want red. Let's make it blue. There we go. So that's all of my notes that I placed with my Sharpie. That's how I would place it with the markup tools. You know, it's pretty simple stuff, really. We're just circling the stuff that are mistakes, making little notes here, and can get a little more advanced too once we get into having the system drawn on here, but we'll move on to that later. Put that out. Okay, so here we are. Now we're going to switch back. All right, guys, we got our plan back from the technician. So let's take it over to the plan table and we'll check it out. All right, now I want to point something out before I roll this out. As I was going through my red lines to correct them on this drawing, I took this pink highlighter and see over here, every time I did one of the corrections, I highlighted it to make sure I knew where I was at. So let's pull out our new plan and see if I actually get everything. So the main thing we realized last time, we had a problem with our cross section, and hopefully you can see that we have a good clearance now between our note and our section, so we can go ahead and cross that off. Now we're getting back into our verify title block information. That was where most of our problems were. So let's see. Our job number has been corrected. It now matches our job order report. Let's see, the other thing we had a problem with was our project name and the address specifically, and the rest of the address has been filled out correctly. Instead of just saying no, now it says no name lane. And you know what? I forgot to update the date, but we're going to let that slide on this one. We're going to pretend that we have a time machine and it's all working out. We want to have a current date though when we're working on a project that we're submitting. And let's see, installing contractor information. I updated the address information, so that's now correct. So now, at this point, I would give this back to the technician and I would say, actually, there's nothing to give back. There's no red lines. I would just message them and I say, this looks great. Let's move on to the pre-calc checklist. And, let me know if you need any help with that. So that's where we'll go from here. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. I've got another plan here from our technician, and we are going to take a little future glimpse at the content from next week, so we can kind of get a better idea of the Redline process and how this is integral moving forward with our whole process. Every single checklist we've got red lines in between to just help move the process along. And so let's go back over to our plan table and check these out. All right. I'm gonna roll these out here. Situation we have often. It's not uncommon for the technician when they're first starting to have a pretty good understanding of how to lay out the sprinklers, but maybe not so good at understanding, or maybe just not a lot of confidence in their ability to lay out the piping. So, that's okay. We'll just say, okay, get the heads laid out and I'll chicken scratch on there how to lay out the piping. And so one thing I don't think we talked about earlier, but in the Redline, when I was doing it on the computer, I just went ahead and threw on there the tank location. And so we've got that on there. This sprinkler system is going to be fed off of this fire sprinkler tank and pump that will be in the garage. And let's see, what else do I want to say? The other thing I wanted to mention, this cross section. Okay, the reason I wanted to mention about the cross section is the technician doesn't know which direction to run the pipe. So how do we know which direction to run the pipe? Well, this section over here is at this location on the drawing. This is the call out for the section. So what that means is if you were to imagine that this house was a cake and we had a giant knife and sliced the cake across this line and pulled it away, this is what we would see into the cake. If we were standing right here, this part, excuse me, we were standing here and this part was pulled away, that would be the view. And many of you, if you're new to construction, may not understand this, but this ceiling or the roof system is built with a common building system here in the Pacific Northwest. They're manufactured roof trusses, and they're built out of 2x4 and they're spaced 2 foot on center. The attic space is basically wide open, and it's easiest for us to travel through this space and rest on what is the bottom chord, we rest on the top of the bottom chord. So the bottom chord, it's all made out of 2x4s. The bottom chord is a 2x4 that's running across the ceiling. And so in this cross section, that 2x4 is represented by a little rectangle with a cross in it. And so that 2x4 is the bottom chord of the truss system, and our piping is going to rest on the top of that. And if instead at any place we wanted to run between these trusses along here, we would have to, well, at one time we would have had to have added a chunk of wood to rest our pipe on there. Back in the day, first thing we did when we got to a job site is look for scraps of 2x4, because every time you had to run the opposite direction through these, you'd have to lay a 2x4, and we were never provided with any. We just had to find scraps. To resolve that, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but these days they invented this double offset hanger that resolves that problem, and so we no longer need the 2x4s to lay across. But anyway, it still is just good practice to, for the most part, run perpendicular to these manufactured roof trusses and just lay on right on the top of those bottom chords. And so what that's going to translate here to is we're going to predominantly be running this direction as much as possible. And so I'm just going to start by drawing some lines in that direction. And let's see. This tank and pump is going to feed the system from the riser right here. There's going to be a vertical pipe rising up. So my line is not perfectly straight, but you get the idea. We'll connect these two going through this sprinkler in this entryway, and then we'll run a couple tail pieces up to these. I guess there's more than a couple, there's 3. And we'll run a feed from our tank to feed the system. And now the sprinkler system is laid out. And you can see how at this point now, you know, if I just take a picture of this and send it electronically, or if I gave this paper to the technician, he could easily transfer this to lines in the CAD program and then start adding the other things like dimensions. And, you know, and if someone just doesn't know and you're transferring this knowledge to somebody who can operate the computer but doesn't really know about sprinklers, this is the way you can kind of see we can transfer. Once we get this paper laid out the way we want it, it's pretty simple to just show them what we want on here by sketching it out, and then they can turn that into the CAD to make it the nice, neat, clean lines. So that is it for our redlining video. So thanks a lot, guys. All right, we are back. So we have here in between Redlines. Now we don't necessarily have, you know, every technician, every job, every time having all of these red lines between each one. As a technician gets more advanced, they may only have one before pre-calc and one before it gets sent out, and that's it. That's pretty common because they're just used to the system at a certain point and they know, you know, what to expect. But the idea to get them there up to speed always is this redline process to help transfer knowledge and information. So the next thing that we want to talk about tonight is we're going to focus on some productivity increasing hacks, and in particular, a good one that I have kind of stumbled across through the production of this course really is the Stream Deck device. And so many of you may not know what a Stream Deck is. I had never heard of the Stream Deck until I started learning about producing live content like this. And, basically that's what this thing is designed for. I'm going to try and move through here quickly, though. We'll explain it more in the video. What they do have in the CAD world that's been around for a while, this is a device with a bunch of programmable buttons on it. And in the middle, it's got a special joystick that works really good for maneuvering in 3D space when you're doing 3D CAD. Especially, I think this makes a lot of sense in, mechanical drafting world, drafting parts and whatnot, but not so much in architectural drafting, in my mind. And the cost of this thing has always been quite a bit of money. It's still $400, and this technology really has not changed for, I believe this same model has been out for a good 10 years now. There's just not really much competition in this little niche that they have. But this just never made sense to me. They're very delicate. A lot of money if they break, and they're not easy to come by. This isn't like available everywhere, not commonly available. But this is the kind of the modeling I'm talking about that really makes more sense for when you're like mechanical drafting, when you're designing parts and stuff like that, moving around in 3D with it. That makes a lot of sense with a 3D mouse is what it's called, that knob. But another option that's out there that I've known about for a long time that CAD, I would say, what would you call it? Not all CAD users use this, but like CAD users that are kind of, I don't know, what's the word? Advanced, techie, would use these macro pads. And, these have been around for a long time. Basically what they are is keyboards that are fully programmable and customizable. And this one here in the middle is probably about the closest one that's out there, just in like side-by-side comparison to the Stream Deck Mark II that we're going to be focusing on tonight. And it's $10 more. This thing, it's cool. You can program all the buttons to do whatever you want, but then you have to create a little piece of paper that represents what that button does and slide it inside that little shell to know what all of your buttons are. And it's quite a bit of work. It's not super easy to program these. They're, pretty tech heavy, not straightforward. So that's why I kind of always avoided both of these options, that Space Mouse and this thing, because it's just a lot of money, easy to break, not easy to get replacements, all of those types of things. Well, when I started producing this course, I found out about the Stream Deck, and I purchased the Mark II, which it's about $150 for this model. That's what I'm going to be demonstrating here in the video. And they only go on sale this time of year. It's going to end soon, I know, but for the holidays. Right now, they're on sale for $120 if you're interested. But so there's also a smaller version. I don't want to waste too much time on these slides because the video explains a lot of this. But for $60, you can get a 6-button one on your desk. And even though it only has 6 buttons, these are all fully programmable, and you can make pages of buttons. The little screens on each button is like a TV screen, and you can make it digitally look however you want. This is the Stream Deck Neo, which is pretty nice. It's $100. It has 8 buttons, and then it also has those little rectangles in the lower next to the clock. Those are to tab through pages, so you don't have to waste a button doing that feature. So that's a pretty nice one for $100. And here, if you want a huge one, this is the XL for $250 they have. The thing that's nice about these that I'm going to get into in the video is just that they are so much easier to program, and they're pretty much available anywhere. The Mark II is, you can get it at Walmart, at pretty much any Walmart. They have them because like people use them for streaming, and that has become, people having YouTube channels and stuff, that's become so popular. They're pretty easy to get. And some of the cool features that I'm going to be showing you that you can do with CAD with this tool, you can also do with the free version that is available if you have an Android phone or an Apple phone, and also a tablet. They work on those as well. You can get a 6-button version for free. Now you can pay them monthly also to have a multi-button if you really like it and you want to have a whole bunch of buttons. That's available too. But I recommend getting the free version to try it out, and I can help you set it up with the buttons that I'm going to be showing you in this video that make processes easier in CAD. That being said, here is our the last video related to the material tonight. I'm going to come back after this. This is a 25-minute video. Then we're going to have a couple more slides, and then we will be going into Q&A with a short, I think it's 7-minute video in between, just so that I can take a break at that point. But it's also related to how you can, some apps related to, it's just more in depth about the Stream Deck app that you can get on your phone for free. So here we go with our second video on how I use the Stream Deck app for productivity with all of my workflow. Through the production of this course, I discovered a productivity tool that I don't think I would have otherwise been exposed to. In the CAD world, I was familiar with a common productivity tool, not really too common actually, but the mCAD is basically a customized programmable keyboard that's been around for a while, but they're fairly complicated. From learning how to produce content like this, I learned about software called OBS, Open Broadcast Studio, and something that a lot of streamers use in conjunction with OBS is a tool called the Stream Deck. And so I'm going to bring mine up on screen here. I've got a button on my Stream Deck that I'm just going to press that button, and we're going to switch over, and it's going to show you my Stream Deck, and I've got my CAD screen up here, CMS and TeleCAD at the moment, and I'm just going to press a button and everything's going to shift over. So just like that, I've got the scene set up in there, and now you've got a live image of my Stream Deck. It's this device here on the upper left corner of your screen. And so this button down here at the bottom, that's what I pressed. Previously, I was in this mode. If I press it again, we'll go back. So that's obviously fantastically handy for these types of live productions. But what I discovered with this tool is that it's really easy to program and to use with basically any application on Windows. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys a brief run through of some things. You'll notice right here I have the indication on my screen on my Stream Deck that I'm recording. That's where I press the button there to start recording, and I press it again to stop. And when it's recording, it kind of flashes that red light. So that's a nice indicator. I'm going to go this button here on the lower left. You'll see that in multiple pages here. That's my home screen. So you'll notice I have multiple pages set up in the Stream Deck. And for those of you who don't want to, this particular Stream Deck normally costs $150. And hopefully in our lecture, we talked about the macro pads, and that's kind of where a decent macro pad price range starts. And that's really kind of like the cheapest level. And this is way easier to program than that. These go on sale. I got mine Black Friday last year, that time period. And this year they went on sale again for the same price for $120. That's basically the only time a year they go on sale. But they also have smaller versions with fewer buttons that, but still you can make multiple pages. They also have bigger ones with more buttons. And hopefully I mentioned it in the lecture as well, but there's also a 6-button free version for either Android phones or Apple phones. And so I really recommend you get that to start playing around with it. And when we get into the CAD tools here, I can help you. I can basically just send you these buttons that I've already made, and I can help you set them up on there. So it's really pretty easy. You know, if you're new to computers, it's not, you know, everything is a little bit more difficult. But as far as setting up customized buttons in an application to do things on Windows, Stream Deck really has made just a seamless, easy process. So let me stop yapping and get into what some of the tools are here. I've got this button here at the lower left. If I click on that, this just goes into all my microphones. I have several microphones set up, including, you'll see on there, my computer audio. And this is just so I can go in and quickly disable and enable them. I put this microphone button right here. I can just copy that and put it into different pages where it's handy to go to that. And I can, if sometimes I'll accidentally have a second microphone on that shouldn't be on, and we'll have an echo, and so I can just go in there and fix that quickly. Those types of things, or just go in and this is the main microphone I'm using at this time, and so I can, if I need to mute my mic because it's accidentally hot when I'm, you know, playing a video or something, I just can come in here and hit that without affecting the playing of the video. And so when I made the video last during the beta course, I had only been playing around with this Stream Deck for a couple days, but I've had about 6 months now, so I've got all kinds of stuff in here. So I'm going to try to go through this a little quicker to not have the lecture tonight take forever. But right here, this button I just created for, if you notice the symbol, it's like a calculator. The only thing I have in there right now is tools for my hydraulic calculation program, but I intended to put tools in here for spreadsheets as well, like Google Sheets and OpenOffice, Excel, those types of things, but haven't got to it yet. This button here, which is mainly what we're going to be talking about tonight, is all of my CAD programs. I can just go into it. This is CMS and TeleCAD, and pretty much every tool in here also works on AutoCAD, AutoCAD LT, works on NanoCAD 5, the free version, so that's sweet. Here are my buttons for Chief Architect. Here's my buttons for SketchUp. So since we have, let me see, before we get into that, I want to end on the CAD stuff since that's the focus of our course. I want to go through here. Here's my PDF tools. Now, I don't have anything in there yet, but I just set up, it goes to a page. I can add as many buttons as I want here. Here I just go back to home. Now this button, you notice it's a spinning movie reel, kind of like in my lecture just before I played this. It's the same image that I created. And that goes into my video tools. And so there's a little bit of a shine on here, but this orange cone here, this is my VLC media player. So if I go and open up a video real quick, you guys should be able to see, oh yeah, it's playing now. And let's see, go to my tools, and then basically I have 3 buttons for skimming through videos. This just makes it play faster. I just keep pressing it and it goes faster for skimming through videos quickly. And then this one is a snail. It just slows them back down again. And these are all just hotkeys in this media player that I programmed to these buttons, and play, pause is right here. So I'm going to go back now to my video tools. The other one I have in here is DaVinci. So let me close this and bring up DaVinci real quick. This is, I'm not going to do too much. I really only have, this is my DaVinci video editor. I really only have one tool in here that I use a lot. It's the razor. Wherever this red line is, I just hit that button and it puts a slice there. So, you know, if something I want to edit out, I just cut it on both sides of it and delete that section. I am not a very advanced video editor. Otherwise, I'd have a lot more cool tools on here. But I probably could be setting up some for adding my transitions and whatnot. Just still learning how to learning DaVinci Resolve as well as learning how to operate this Stream Deck as we go along here. But some other cool tools on here, this next line. This is just a multi-action button. I made, actually threw that together live when I was hosting the Grand Theft World podcast one evening to help me switch through the videos faster that I'm playing. And this, I'm trying to remember what you guys can see and what you can't see. This button here is a color picker. So that is pretty cool. If I press that, you'll notice on my screen, anything I hover over, it tells me that color exactly. Gives me the code so that I can, it's interesting, you can that this green is made up of both green and red, it seems. But anyway, you can just pick any color from anywhere. If you have a program and it has an interesting color in it and you want to know what it is, you just hover over it and it tells you. And, if you click on it, it'll stay in there. Actually, it copies the color code to your clipboard, so that's handy. Now, this next one here is a crosshair. It's actually a zoom for it zooms into my mouse location so I can see things easier. You notice if I hover over this CAD file, it's magnifying the things that are under it. If I hover over these buttons, it's magnifying the buttons, and I can adjust how much that magnifies. But I basically have like a second monitor down here that I can hover over if I really want to zoom in and see what something is, the detail, I can do that. And this is set at 8 times magnification. I can go lower or higher. So there's 3 buttons in this upper corner. These are related to the live events that I am producing. So this one here is for Grand Theft World, the podcast that Richard Grove produces on Sunday evenings. The normal producer for that, Lawrence LD, he sent me the Stream Deck profile that he uses, and I was able to paste that into here and set that up, use his buttons, and in the same way he was able to send that to me, I can send you, buttons for these CAD applications we'll be looking at, and you can put them in your Stream Deck, your free one, even on your phone. Now, this is for my CAD teaching, and then this one is for autonomy on Friday nights when Richard Grove is teaching autonomy. I host that lecture. I'm going to come back to this one. This is just all my camera views for hosting the lectures. This one, I have not got anything in here that's working yet. It just goes to this page. I have experimented and deleted with these ones several times, and I haven't gone back to it for a while, but I was trying to figure out ways to press buttons to automatically name files, and I figured out quite a bit, but I was at the point where I would have to change my naming convention, because the ways that I knew to change the names did not match the way I wanted it to look. And I know that there are workarounds for all of that, but it was just getting more and more complicated, and I haven't had time to mess with that more. But once, the complication only happens once. Once it's set up, the buttons just work. Now, this one, real quick, this is for emails. I'm going to bring up it could be any text application. You can put text. Let me see. I'm going to change the size of this window so you can see it better. But if I click in my email here, and then I have these 2 main emails set up that I send every time we send drawings out. We always send it preliminary for the contractor to review. And so when I send the email, I just press this button and it fills out the email. I'll do that now. And you can see it just put the text in there. It says, hey, name in parentheses, and I just changed the name. It says, please see the attached preliminary PDF files. Let me know if you see anything you would like to change, or if we should finalize these documents as they are. I'm going to go ahead and erase all that. Now I'm going to hit the final button. And that one just says, hey, whoever the client is, please see the attached PDF files. Let me know if you need anything else. And that's it. It's just pasting text in there, and you could make it as elaborate as you want. I just like to have everything be uniform so that the clients know, okay, I just need to search my email for final documents and the name of the project, and I should be able to find it every time. That's the idea behind all that. I send more emails than that where I, respond and not just with an automatic thing like that, but those two situations, I always want to send the same exact email. I probably need to make another button for filling out the, the title of the email, because I always format those the same as well with the full name of the job with our job number. Anyway, let's get to the cooler stuff here. Now, this is my panel for presenting. This is the button that I pressed to get into the view we have right now. If I press this one, we'll go back to here. I'm going to press my share Stream Deck button again to bring this back. Now, let me see, what could I show you? This button right here, FW, that's force window. That's interesting. I use that to force things on top. There's different reasons for doing that. When I'm streaming, I want my OBS open broadcast software to always be on top so I can see what's going on there and hit the buttons. And this allows me to have Zoom open behind it, and I can have OBS just covering the main view in Zoom and leave everything else exposed. And I can press buttons on Zoom, I can interact in the chat, and it still will keep my OBS forced to the top. There's other instances where this is useful. I can just think of workflows like with my hydraulic calculation program. There's a point where you're filling out some text boxes of job information, and you maybe need to go to a couple different PDFs to get for the sources of that information. When you're switching back and forth between those PDFs, that little window can get lost and be hard to find. And so if you hit the force window, that will keep that so it always stays on top, even if you're looking through your PDFs, and you won't lose it. Let's see. So I have different presentations set up in here. This button goes to my slide presentation. I've got, a different version here with bigger slides. It's not set up right now because I haven't used it since the first week. So if I press it, I think, let's see, something will not work right. Oh, I see. It works right. It's just that my buttons to change slides are broken because I haven't used this since week 1. And I'm not framed exactly correctly. That's because when I'm doing my slides, I actually am standing back further, and I'm not using my keyboard and mouse. I am using a Stream Deck foot pedal actually to change the slides. And I'm trying to stand back and be more in full frame for the presentation. But when I'm doing a specific CAD video like this, like what you're seeing now, except with, if I didn't have the Stream Deck there, this is how I would record, me working on a CAD program. So what we really want to get into, the cool stuff, is the CAD stuff. So this is what we're going to end on. Apologize for this taking so long for everybody, but I think this is really a cool tool that you will benefit from. So I have my CMS and IntelliCAD open, so let's go into these CMS and IntelliCAD tools. I, in the past, would have my hand anchored on my keyboard with my index finger, on the escape button, my thumb anchored on the space bar, my right hand on the mouse to draft efficiently. And so a lot of this button layout is kind of based on that, because my hand is no longer on the keyboard I need those things, handy. So I've got this escape right here. That's where my, I would, on my keyboard, this finger would have been on it. But now my thumb is using it. And I basically am anchoring around this. You see it's a car shifter out of a manual transmission. Well, that's, if I press that down, that's shift. There's many commands, like for example, if I, go back here. If I hold down shift and then right click, I get a different menu than if I just right click. Okay, now I hit escape to get out of that command. Here I have F8. That's F8 on the keyboard is something that I press often. If I was drawing a line right now, it is locked in 90-degree intervals, and that is controlled by the ortho command, which if I press F8, now I can move freely in any direction. So you're going to want to remember F8 no matter what. You're going to be using that one a lot. Turn it back on. Now it's locked again. One more thing, I want to go back real quick. Here's the second page of stuff. This is for where my videos are stored when I'm doing a presentation. I have them all set up in here. I just hit the button, but I also have this thing right here. When I press it, you'll notice all of a sudden my mouse has this yellow circle. So it's a lot easier to follow. Oops, I want to go into CAD tools. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to hit escape now to get out of, oops, I got to click on here, escape. Uh-oh. I got to pay attention what page I'm on here. So I have this line I just drew. I didn't mean to, but I have right here, Control Z or Control Z, and took the line away. All right. I also have the backspace button and the delete button because those work slightly differently and how they operate depending on the situation. If I'm in the command line here and typing, I may want to use backspace instead of delete. But if I have an item selected, let me go into model space to demonstrate that. Say I had this sprinkler selected, I can hit backspace. It's not really, backspace, it doesn't do anything. If I hit delete, it doesn't do anything again because I already hit backspace. When I hit the backspace, it assumes I'm trying to do something in the text line. So backspace only works down there. Backspace and delete both work in the text line because one is like a forward and one is a backwards delete in Windows. But if I hit escape, we select that head again. When you actually are in working on something, you have to use the delete button. So I'm going to go Control Z. All right, what else do I got on here? This is like different tools for when I'm dimensioning. I often need to paste in a quarter, half-inch, or 3/4 inch dimension, and I have these buttons set up to do that. Like if I select, that's not on screen. If I select this dimension, I can go into the properties. Let me see if I can make it so you can see this. I scroll down to this point where it says 1/x. I can hit that half-inch button and it adds a half in there. I'll click out of here. And we can see that how this was affected. This dimension now has a half on it. So that's what these are for. Oh, and I also have a degree symbol we can add easily. It's just because they are, there's no keyboard button for these symbols, but they are available with a code. I believe it's ASCII code. I'm not sure how you say that, but like for example, the half-inch symbol, if you hold down Alt 0189 on the keyboard, it will create that half-inch symbol. And that's all that is programmed into this half-inch button. So I'm going to go ahead here and hit Match Properties to change that back to, forgot to hit Escape first. Match Properties. I actually matched it to the one I didn't. So I'm going to go to 1 inch and then match these to those to put them back. All right, so now those say 1 inch again. All right, now, so I have, like, this is my dimension tools. Basically, this is what I go into when I'm working on dimensions. Let me see if I have one where I can show you with nothing on it. Well, let me see, I'll do this. Should have had this set up for you guys. But if I layer isolate that real quick and get rid of those dimensions. Oh, I don't have a delete button here. That's a problem. I should add that. Okay. All right, so now I'm set up. Let me, okay, go back to my CAD tools. And now I'm dimension. So I've got a linear dimension programmed in here. Oops, I got to actually be clicked into my CAD program for it to work. So dimension tools, linear dimension, now it works. So click once, click again. Oh, I got to change to mCAD pipe dimension and mCAD sprinkler. Now it'll work. Linear dimension, 3 points. Now I can click this button here, continue, and I just keep going. So that's super handy. You guys will, I'm sure, be interested in that. Let's go back. What other tools do we have? The main thing I wanted to show you is the colors for printing. We went over that. I believe that was the week of the layout checklist. We showed you how we readjust the colors in our layers. And some of you may find that process a little bit cumbersome. So with this option, with the Stream Deck, I just press this button and you can see all of these different colors are here. If you watch the Stream Deck, and well, when I press this, there's a circle that goes around and to let you know it's completed because it's doing several operations. And now everything is black. So now if I hit this print button, all of my settings are in here and it's just, it knows it's just ready to go. It knows it wants to be saved to a PDF and just ask me where. And if now I've got this color button, I can just click that and you can see it's working through the process. And a few seconds here, everything is going to be back to the way it was supposed to be. And we just have to make sure that we don't do anything before that operation completes. But super fast, super handy. Now let me show you on one of our other CAD programs. Let's go to these CAD tools. Let's go to SketchUp. And I have SketchUp here. Where is it? There it is. All right, so oops, that's Chief Architect. SketchUp specific tools. So here again, I have an escape button like before, delete and backspace, which looking at that, they're backwards from my other one. I should switch that to make it conform more. This picture of a skeleton right here, I don't know if you can make out that that's what that is, but it's an X-ray of a body seeing the skeleton, and that is actually the X-ray feature that I have linked to that so I can see into objects. Turn that back on. It's just a toggle to turn that off and on. And then this one down here is hidden geometry. So there's lines that are hidden and we can reveal them to do some detail work if we need to, then turn them back off. Oh, well, another thing that happens, let me see, I have this button here to hide. That'll just hide that object. But then if I press on hidden geometry, we can see the hidden object. But I also have this unhide button, and that just brings it back. So Yeah, those are pretty cool tools for SketchUp. Just makes it a little faster when I'm doing, oops, drawing my fire sprinkler details in 3D. So that's everything, guys. I apologize for taking so much time, but I just really think that this is a really cool tool. And again, available 6 buttons for free on your Android or Apple device. So if you need help getting that set up, I am here to help. Get into the Kajabi community. Ask for help in there. There's also a calendar that you can get to in Kajabi if you're live during the boot camp. There's a calendar available to connect with me, and that is for things like this, so I can help you get that set up. If you're having trouble making it work, help you get through the final steps. All right, thanks a lot, guys. All righty. So this week, I just want to make sure that everyone, to be caught up, if you could attempt to submit a PDF of your project for Redline review, just to show me that you are able to get to this point where you can get that floor plan and that elevation on to the background and create that PDF. And if you could submit that either by emailing it as an attachment of the PDF as an attachment to the email to mcad.construction.documents@gmail.com, or we have a spot in the community where you can post it, and it's called Design and Layout, and you can ask questions there and ask for feedback from other members of the community as well, if you're brave. But everyone there is positive and trying to move forward in the same way as you and help each other out. Wanted to mention that this Saturday, again, we have 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific, a live workshop with Chris Jansen. We're going over groups and components specifically with SketchUp. So if you can't make it live, these are also available in the community under the Meetup tabs. There is all of the recordings of these meetups, as well as the recordings from the last iteration are in there. So next week, we are going to have an introduction to the mCAD pre-calc checklist. So I really wanted to make sure that everyone is caught up, because it's the introduction, because we're going to take 2 weeks to go over the pre-calc checklist, because this is really the meat and potatoes, you would say, I guess, where we are getting into drawing the system. We are basically going to, through the pre-calc checklist, get everything on the drawing that is necessary to calc the system. And that, plus the hydraulic calculations, we now have enough information to install it if we needed to give that to the contractor. But there's still more in the final checklist that we'll be going over at the end of the course, towards the end of the course, which is just the crossing the T's and the dotting of the I's for getting a permit, which is beyond what we need to actually install it. But really, the meat and potato of the design is in the pre-calc checklist. So we'll be starting that next week. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight, and I am going to be going into a Q&A as soon as we play a short video. This is from Felipe Narde, and he is one who I have been learning a lot of my skills related to my production style, my presentation style. And this is about a year old, but it's helpful, I think. It's talking about the app capabilities of the Stream Deck that are available at the time he's talking about. That was on Apple devices only. As far as the part where it starts out with 6 buttons for free, this is also available on Android devices, a lot of the things that he's talking about. So this is just a short video, and we come back on the other side of that. I will be here for Q&A. So have your questions ready. And just about, I believe the video is 7 minutes long. So I'll just see you on the other side.
CAD just released a new update for the iPhone app, and it's simply amazing. It opens new possibilities such as having multiple buttons, having faceplates, more control over Siri, to add Siri to specific buttons, and more importantly, now it has the option for you to use it for free if you use it for 6 buttons. There's a lot of new things in this update, so here is everything that you need to know. First one, it's only for iPhone. The Android version haven't been updated yet. It works for both Windows and Mac, but your phone, it must be an iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, now you can use this new version in the App Store. Number 2, now you can use the Stream Deck for free. You can set up the Stream Deck to have only 6 buttons, and these 6 buttons you can use for free. Sometimes you want to have specific buttons that are always accessible. For example, muting everyone in the call, muting and unmuting your microphone on Zoom, or changing to specific scenes that you use constantly. And although you can have a physical Stream Deck where you can put a lot of different buttons in it, having an additional iPhone with 6 buttons, that these 6 buttons are always in front of you that you can use at any moment, is going to make a lot of difference. I think having a pair of a mini Stream Deck and the regular size Stream Deck is a great addition. And now you can use your iPhone as a mini because you can have 6 buttons and it's free. So available all the time for you. Number 3, now they allow you to customize the number of buttons, so you can have how many buttons you want, up to 64 buttons, which doesn't even exist in a physical Stream Deck. You can customize the rows, so if you want 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows or more, and the columns as well. So you have complete control over the kind of design you want for your Stream Deck. And what I find it to be useful is, of course, in an iPhone, you cannot have a lot of buttons because they are going to be very small. But sometimes if you are working on the regular usual size with 15 buttons and you need a little bit of extra room, you can now add another column or you can add another row. So you grow your Stream Deck a little bit more if you need, when you need. So having this ability is super great. And we now have also support for iPad. We had before support for iPad, but it was just simulating the iPhone app, which just looks like an iPhone app being stretched into the iPad screen. But now the iPad version of the Stream Deck app runs natively, which means that if you add 64 buttons to the Stream Deck, it doesn't look as bad as when you do it on the Stream Deck. It actually worked. So having an iPad now as your Stream Deck becomes a great advantage because you can start small so that you have big buttons and you can know what you're pressing. But as you grow in complexity, if you need to, you can customize how many columns and how many rows do you want, have everything that you need right there in front of you. So it just became super valuable having an iPad in your setup. And if you run training sessions, workshops, or live teaching on Zoom, it's always great to have an iPad. There is a lot of different ways you can use the iPad. Now you have one more. And if you want to know other 5 different ways that I use my iPad on my virtual sessions that you can use to, watch out this video that is on the screen right now. Next, we have the addition of the Siri control. Now you have this button that when you press, you can tell specifically which one of these buttons you want Siri to respond with your command. And this is super cool because the commands that you add here, they can also be triggered with iPad and iPhone shortcuts. And you can add these shortcuts as an app in your home screen, for example. And when you press it, it will execute directly. The cool thing is that you don't have to have the Stream Deck app open in order to use these. If you just have a button on your home and you press it, it's going to open the Stream Deck app, connect to your computer and execute the action. So it's way faster than you opening the Stream Deck app, deciding which action you're gonna press. You always have this action ready to go in your home screen. You just press, forget it, and it will execute. And because you can have different sizes and orientations for the Stream Deck, Elgato also added the ability for you to create multiple virtual Stream Deck. And this is like having different Stream Decks that you can transform your iPhone in a different Stream Deck with different set of buttons at any moment without having to adjust everything all the time. I think overall these changes, these updates really transform the way that we are going to use the Stream Deck, especially because now we can use it for free. So I think everyone should be using at least the 6 keys available on the Stream Deck app. And because of the flexibility that it adds to change different layouts on the Stream Deck and ability to use the iPad. The only thing missing for me in this update is the Android app wasn't updated. So we are is still in the old version right there. But if you have an iPhone, then you are in a great place with these updates. There is one thing that I didn't mention, which is the ability to have face plates, change the design of what the Stream Deck looks like, but I don't think that this is really that important, to be honest. So this is the feature that I least care about. But the other ones, all the features that he added, the orientation, the ability to change the layout, ability to use for free, these are all great. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite new addition in this Stream Deck version, and I will see you in the next video.
All right, guys. Yes, Monica, if they don't have permission to unmute, please allow them to. So how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully we're doing good. I should put my headphones on.
How are you doing?
Doing good. Hey, Chris. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. I'm pretty good, man.
Getting rained out in Southern Oregon?
No.
Dry today?
Actually, it's cloudy. The rain's coming though.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, you're back in Welch's. I forgot about that. Anyway, enough of
Yeah.
that banter. So, I wanted to mention that stuff that in that Felipe Nardi video that he was mentioning, basically everything that he was saying is not out yet for Android is. So that 6-button free version that he was showing you is available on Android for free. And if you have an Android tablet too, you can have one of those crazy setups with all of those buttons. That costs money if you want to go to that level. I'm not sure how much it is, the app, for all those buttons, but it's probably cheaper. Well, it's not actually cheaper, I guess, because it's a monthly recurring fee. You have to pay for it. So the Stream Deck is a one-time cost. But a very useful tool for all sorts of applications. Anything you can type, click on your computer, you can program it into a button. Does anybody have any questions?
So I guess I'll be contacting you. Need a little help. A little slow on using the tools within the CAD program.
No
I
problem.
was working on my layout on the print side. I got the floor pan on there and the cross section, but somehow my address window slid off somehow. I can't figure out how to put it back.
No problem. Okay, sure thing. Yeah, we can. I think Monica's trying to tell me that she's already set something up with you. So
Yeah.
cool. We'll help you get that figured out. Yeah, so we have, that's one of the things about, we give you this template to kind of speed things up. So you don't have to learn how to create the template, but there are things, that could get moved around that need to get fixed. That I can just imagine exactly what happened. It's no big deal though. We'll show you how to fix it. Maybe a good opportunity to record a video, because I'm sure you're not the only one that will experience that.
Yeah, I was gonna add to that. Do you have a lesson on like how to use like basic CAD commands and like easy quick tricks?
Yeah, there's a couple
Okay.
things that you definitely need if you're coming in late to the program. I believe we mentioned it in week 1, but we have a couple of, 3 PDFs that you need to print out that will be very helpful. We don't really use that many commands. Like, part of the reason that these CAD programs are so intimidating is because there's just all these things that it does. But we only use really just a tiny fraction of the commands. And so that will be really helpful if you could just print that out and focus on those. And I'm pretty sure almost every one of those things on those lists we have a short video about it's either in resources, or there are some there's a series in the week 2 as well, because it isn't really till week 2 that we get into using CAD. So there's like one on creating a head symbol, just using the move command, using the copy command, just very short 3-minute videos to help you with different steps. And we're, adding those all the time as, things like this come up where people have questions. We try to make some. You got your app up there, Owen, trying to show?
I was trying to show you what I took a picture of what happened on my I was doing my layout, but it won't show on the camera.
Oh, okay.
So everyone else could see the problem I had. That's all.
No problem. Okay, well, when we meet, we can do a share screen and go over that, and it'll probably be useful information for more people. So maybe we can produce something out of that, make it available. Yeah, just no, that'd be great. No problem. We just try to make everything as simple as possible when we're starting out, and so we don't teach anything like that's unnecessary. We could do a whole 8-week course just on how to create a template for the page layout. But, who wants to spend all that time doing that? We just want to start producing jobs and making money. And so, it's understandable that I know you, Owen, don't have any prior CAD experience. So it's common when people are starting out, to just kind of accidentally move things around. Well, something that happens pretty often, a lot of people don't realize, because you could have something selected in your CAD program that is not on your screen. And that's often what happens. You basically don't realize that you have something selected when you go to move something else, and you have, something and the thing you're trying to move selected, and you don't realize it, and so they both get moved. Another thing that is possible, it might be just that we need to set up the paper space. It's interesting sometimes, depending on what program you're using, that comes over automatically when you open it up into a different program than I have. The paper space around the drawing, which part of it is supposed to be white when it prints. And some CAD programs will just automatically load the way I had it and just works perfectly. And some others, you have to kind of point it in the right direction in a couple places to make sure it knows what to do. But it could be something like that as well. But we'll get it figured out either way. But that's a great question. And anybody who has a problem like that, you can send an email to that email we posted up there, where you can send your PDFs, or you can go into the community. You can contact Monica or myself directly through the community, message us. There's also the calendar we showed in the slides, where you can schedule an appointment with me. And so we have all kinds of ways to contact us if you are stuck somewhere. And
I got an email from Monica. Give me some choices of times, so I'll be setting that up, and I look forward to talking with you probably on Monday.
Perfect. Sounds good. Awesome.
I got to run, so thanks, Colby and Monica and the rest of the crew.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Owen. You have a great night.
All right.
Well, let me see. What else can we go into? I'm not really sure. Does anybody have any questions regarding either the Stream Deck or the redlining process? I guess one thing I'll mention with the redlining process is that some people kind of feel like a little bit beat up by it, and you shouldn't. It's at all. That's not the intention. It's just a process to have to be able to transfer knowledge. Now, it is similar to when we submit to a jurisdiction for review. The permitting authority may redline corrections that they want, and ideally you want to avoid those. But whenever you work with a new jurisdiction, there's always stuff that you don't know, you're not familiar with, and so that's how you learn what they do there that's different from the other places you've worked. So, does anybody else have any questions tonight? Or any comments,
Well, I guess
observations?
I'm in.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, I know this is an area that's maybe a little bit boring, but I definitely understand that it's a necessary piece of the puzzle. So I think you did a pretty good job of keeping it as lively as possible. But again, I think it's kind of material that's a little bit stagnant.
Right, for sure.
But again, I think that's, like with the red line, you know, what I think what we've learned through autonomy and probably through life is that you got to fail sometimes to learn the big lessons that are necessary and I think you've done a really good job of highlighting or having a pattern that once people go through it a number of times, it becomes second nature and almost automatic. But that's what leads to excellence.
That's
So
right.
this is your path to, a level of excellence that should be able to get people a decent amount of income and then take it to the next level, which I think is also what I think you are offering is that, once we get past the technician stage, then you move into the managerial stage and then to the ownership stage.
Right.
And those are all beneficial. Those are very beneficial to kind of going through this, slog of stuff that it requires to get to that point. But I certainly appreciate that. I was hoping that I had blocked out some time this morning to try and accomplish this mission for this week, and I just did not. It didn't happen the way I wanted it to. Other things got in the way, and so I just didn't get it. But I'm looking forward. Thank you for setting up the time on Saturday, because I'm going to try and use that time to catch up.
Nice. Sounds good. Excellent. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying earlier, like about not being afraid to fail. That's a big part of what the structure of our system really provides a framework for quick iteration. Fail fast and fail forward. You don't see it as a failure. Just throw something out there quickly and let's keep it moving. The whole thing is just designed to keep the process moving forward. And we have technicians that could be moving on 3 jobs at a time. They're moving forward on one's waiting maybe for review, or maybe it's waiting for calculations or whatever, but they can move another one forward. And there's always something, well, not always, but there's basically, you have this list. And so maybe you are stuck on something, but there's still other things that you can do. And just moving through that, a lot of times, I mean, even for myself, I first created all these checklists for myself because I found that I would get hung up on stuff. But by having a system to just move forward, often I would discover something that would answer my own questions, when I was getting stuck somewhere. But just by moving forward and onto something else, I would realize, oh, this relates to what I was getting stuck on and answers my own question, and that would free that up. So really, it's just a whole mechanism to keep you moving forward as fast as possible.
The other question I've got is next week is the kind of the holiday assessments scheduled because of that, or is it pretty much?
Well, I'd be curious. We had scheduled it for the night that we did, partly to make sure that we missed. Some of the people that we had talked to that were interested in taking it wanted to use the holiday time to kind of do the course material. Scheduled for the day after Christmas because it's not a holiday, but I really. We could push the whole thing back a week if that's what people wanted to do. I really just We have it available. We just don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people that just doesn't really observe the holidays at all. I just keep going.
Right. Well, that's the case with us as well. And so I don't really know how most people are, but it's,
But I'm unusual.
I think we are too. That's why I'm open. If we had some input that, if somebody out there listening to this recording could use an extra week, we're open to that. If we get some requests, we could push back a week. But as of right now, I think we're going to plan on doing it the day after Christmas. And for those who can't make it, there will be a recording. But if we do get some requests maybe to postpone, we will definitely entertain that. But as of now, that's the plan.
Thank you so much, Kobe.
Yeah. Thank you,
Excellent
Michael.
course. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if it's meant for me, but I definitely see the potential, and I am definitely going to be keeping my eye out for people that this would fit really nicely for. And honestly, I think there's other elements of this thing that I think could transfer to other trades.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's kind of how I envisioned it from the beginning as well. I just feel like this is a stepping stone because I have the most experience with it, and this is the most of, even when I started making the course, the majority of my work was already sprinklers. And it was, it just was a natural first step to expand at that.
Yeah. I, back in the day, when I became a project manager / superintendent, I ended up having a opportunity to work within a business as I was going to school as I guess an apprentice, and they sent me through all the different sides of the business. One time I was in design, and next week I was in warranty, and next week I was out on the field. But they had a project when I got to accounting. They were implementing this new accounting purchase ordering system, and they had paid $20,000-$30,000 for this program, but they didn't know how to apply it to the other. They kind of had an idea, but me and another apprentice, basically, they gave us the job of, okay, why don't you put this in a thing, go out there and interview all the people for all the different things that are, like all the other different things that they're going to use a purchase order for, and kind of create a manual for it. And so essentially what we did is like what you did. We created checklists for all these different purchase orders, and so that like the guys that signed off, when they checked off the things, they knew that they had got what they were supposed to get. And man, that I put it together, put a manual together, sent it out to the field. There was, a number of project or superintendents that were supposed to use this thing. None of them did. But then I ended up getting hired to do the the real job. So I got out in the field. I started using it. Before long, my productivity was up 3x.
That's
And
awesome.
I was generating more income than anybody had ever imagined that it was even possible, to the point that I was, my income was was stepping above like some of the vice presidents in the company.
Wow.
And they called me into the office and they said, "Oh man, we can't do this." I'm like, "Are you kidding me, man?" I ended up having to leave the company, and the company ended up going out of business, a number of years later. But that's, not everybody sees the brilliance of these things, You've seen it. I think it's, you're employing it. You're teaching people how to use it. I think the sky is the limit.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, I've been preaching a lot of this stuff for a while to people around me, And a lot of people are, kind of poo-poo it when a lot of stuff, I was like, we don't need to go through all that trouble or whatever. And
Yeah.
but one of the things that I noticed as I started creating this content, on YouTube and whatnot, like the people who understand and who see the value, are drawn to me, So like that's one of the great things about producing this course really is because I'm just, talking about the things that I value and moving a project forward and whatnot. And so people are drawn to that. It's been a magnet to bring people to me that want to work with me, that have, they see my style, what I'm trying to bring to the table, and they appreciate that. And it's really kind of an unexpected benefit. It's been an amazing journey.
So, yeah. Well, like not everybody, excellence doesn't appeal to everybody. It's
Right.
a little the difference, but a lot of people just don't care. They just don't want to care.
Right.
And so be it, but I think the bottom line is that we've got something here that I think, you spent the time, figure it out. It works. It works well.
Right. It's repeatable.
It's going to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, very cool. I think, the sky's the limit, really. Fire sprinklers, anything, all the trades. There's so much of the attitude we're just basically describing that people don't want to put this kind of effort in, that it really, once you kind of see it and understand how it works, it makes it super easy to just take over any industry. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Looking forward to the future for sure. It's going to be fun.
Heck yes. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Well, great conversation, Michael. Appreciate it. Yeah, and if you need help, getting your that first assignment, if you need help getting there, let me know. We can schedule a time to help cross the finish line. I think that's a good place to stop it, guys, for the night. We don't want to have the recording too long for the people listening to the replay. Like we were kind of discussing, a lot of these subjects are really not that interesting, but sprinklers, it can be boring, CAD stuff, all of this, but there's interesting things about it. You can always find ways to make it interesting. You got a niche down, find the niche in your niche. But that's enough for this week, guys. So thank you for coming. Appreciate everyone being here. And Monica in the backstage, when you are ready, go ahead and pull it. We will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Have a great night, everybody.